So I don't really want to format this like, fucking. Well, I mean, we should do some introductions and stuff, but I really like the Joe Rogan podcast the way it's just they're having a chat and stuff.
No, just go into it, man. That's fine. Do whatever. This is your show, dude. You do whatever, man. It's cool. I agree. Don't just cut the bullshit and go into it.
So, like, I don't want to mention Joe Rogan too much because it's just going to come across as a bit desperate, like I want to copy Joe Rogan. But actually, that's what I want to do. No, but actually, I just love the way Joe Rogan smokes fucking cigars on his show. And I just thought it looked cool. And of course, like, over the years, I smoked a few, and you feel like a bit of a don when you smoke it. I remember back in the day, you could smoke it in the club. But this is a great excuse to smoke a cigar. So if you don't mind, I'm going to light this bad boy up.
I just don't have mine. My Cuban cigar got crushed in my house move last year with my mum, and then I was supposed to have gotten some for today. But the last few days have been crazy here, man. So I'm just trying to set up all my stuff for my hopeful live stream this weekend. That cigar I'm just envious, man. Gosh. Bruv. The thing is, that's going to last you a couple of days. If you don't puff it all out now, you can just re-smoke it tomorrow. And it smells so good on the fingers. Oh my God, man.
You're a don. You're a don.
They got a cigar club. I think it's just off Regent Street, and you're actually allowed to smoke the cigar of your choice before you buy it.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
they're going to lose us some money on that, aren't they?
No, I think the guys who go in there are definitely up there to actually buy something. As long as you're going to buy something, they don't mind.
Wicked. Yeah, I actually have a shop very close to me, and it's a cigar shop. And in Japan, have you been out here before?
Yeah, in 2018, I've got a video on my channel. If you type in Kung Fu Hotdog Japan vlog, you'll see I was in there, and and that's before I even thought I'd even do YouTube. So I'm walking around myself, and it's a pretty well edited together video. It's my first time editing a video online. So have a look at it afterwards. It's like 25, maybe 20 minutes long, and it's a good laugh. But I definitely want to go out there again. I think Japan is like the best place I've ever been to, and I've been around a few places in my time, but Japan scores 10 out of 10 for everything. I didn't have an encounter with any beautiful women out there because they're just a bit unapproachable, I think. I don't think
ask me questions. Ask me questions. I'm fucking here for you, dude. I'm a simple man, and I've achieved very little in my life purely because I'm surrounded by all these babes all the time. What can I say? Now, there's obviously you're quite into Japan, and I've been here a lot. I've been here a long time, so I'm not jaded, but I'm definitely past the honeymoon period, so I could dispel probably quite a few myths and kind of let you know what's really going on out here.
Whatever. I love to be I'd love to swap places with you right now, man. Trust me. I don't want to stay in England any much longer. No way.
Yeah, this is something else I wanted to kind of cover, because I'm really interested in what's going on in England, because I'm out of touch with it, and you're kind of interested in what's going on in Japan. I did go back to England in December, and I would love to tell you my story, because hopefully it can rekindle a bit of the love.
You never knocked at my door. Shame on you, Johnny.
Bruv, I don't even think I knew you back then.
Listen, I've seen you on YouTube in lockdown. Sorry to cut you, but in lockdown, your name was quite prevalent. It was like, if I went onto a search and I was looking up various topics, Johnny Massacre would come up a few times. I'm thinking, wow, this guy's scary. Who is he? And then all of a sudden, you kind of fell off the map. And then I realized why. You mentioned it on your 26-minute video about, I've got to delete everything, which, no, you shouldn't. I would rather be demonetized than not have a platform. And I've seen guys out there who are completely demonetized and they're nearly at 100K. So they just go through Patreon. Even Patreon has its own limitations about what you can and can't do.
Yeah, it would be great to get into this with you. I mean, this is actually a good chance to do introductions, but I just want to say to anyone who's listening why we're here. So there's a man who goes by the name of Kung Fu Hotdog, who I'm speaking to right now, and I noticed on YouTube someone had tagged me in one of their videos. So I looked at it, and it's this guy called Kung Fu Hotdog, and I watched the video, and it's a guy who's covering similar kind of topics to me, about culture war and stuff like that, especially about video games and wokeness in video games. And so I thought, oh, that's really kind of him. He actually kind of credited me with it. So I just said, oh, thank you on X, and we exchanged a few words, and I don't watch anyone else on YouTube. I don't watch any like culture warrior criticism. I'm a bit like, you know, the chefs who they don't really cook for themselves, right? Because it's their job. So when they go home, they just get something from the supermarket or the convenience store, something they can eat quickly. Using that as a metaphor, I spend so much time on YouTube that I don't watch anything else because I'm always doing something with the platform. So, but I did watch your stuff, and I thought it was decent, and that I would not say that about hardly any YouTubers, and that's pretty much it. And you were just like really kind to me about it. You brought to my attention there's quite a big YouTuber who used the same clip and he didn't credit me. So that's it really. And when I looked at your channel, I have to be honest, so I have 13,000 subscribers, and when I do a video, it only gets like 100, 200 views. And I looked at yours and you had half the amount of mine. So logically, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know, he's got half the amount of subs, but you're killing it. So like every video you do, it's like 10,000, 20,000. So I started thinking, you know, am I really that bad, or is something else going on here? And that's part of the thing which sucks about YouTube, because they admit that they say it in their emails, they will boost what they see as authoritative content, and they'll amplify like certain voices or whatever. So, you know, collaborating with you in a cynical way, I was also hoping I could tap into some of your audience. Of course, I'd be lying if that didn't cross my mind. But the fact that I don't collaborate with anyone tells you that this is not just pure cynicism, right? Like I'm here to like boost myself or whatever. I'm kind of curious about how you've become like that, how you've got that kind of that success and that virality. And I thought maybe I can learn something as well. And also, you know, Joe Rogan's wicked because he's talking to someone, and I can't just be in this echo chamber where it's just always me talking and talking and talking. And I was reading this book recently, well, I haven't finished it, but On Liberty by John Stuart Mill. And that really made me realize the importance of just not being in your own echo chamber and just surrounding yourself. Well, in my case, I'm not surrounding myself with anyone. So I thought it makes sense to just have a conversation with someone so I can learn something. And I think that would be better content for anyone who's watching as well.
And you decided to come to me, you buffoon? How dare you?
Well,
but
mate,
no.
you got...
Go ahead, Johnny. Smoke that stogie.
I've spoken it,
like
bruv.
It was 1999. God, I missed that year. I missed that year so much.
Bruv, don't fucking even. Oh man, what I'd do to go back. But yeah, that's basically why we're doing this, you know. So that's the kind of introduction of how I met you. We're just similar. We're YouTubers who cover the culture war. Our content is quite similar. We're both British, and that's pretty much it. So yeah.
Yeah, so for me personally, I think it's with 2020 when all the madness happened in March the 23rd. I remember going to the gym that morning in the early hours thinking, if there's meant to be some viral thing going on in the air, how come I can still go out and do my exercising and then come back? And then on the same day, total shutdown in England. So I thought, wow, doomsday's begun. And that's when I started to make YouTube videos. And if you see my early efforts, I mean, they are truly appalling. But if we all started off fantastically, then where's the journey? Where do you end? You get bored after a while. It's like Sherlock Holmes. Like he's always looking for something that might eventually take his life because he likes to live on the edge. So for YouTube, for me, I was just doing that. Just learning everything. I was very intimidated by Adobe Premiere Pro. And eventually I thought, you know what? If my friends can't help me, I'm going to have to help myself. I'll start watching a lot of tutorials. Like, oh, that's how you do that. Oh, my God. That is so easy. Like one of the very first special effects I learned to use was the blur background. So say you got like me in the middle and you want me again in the background, but blurred out. That was the very first special effect I learned. And then because I don't mind saying this, by the way. So I look after my mum. I don't have a job right now, so I don't really care. I'm going to get that sorted out soon. But I think it was in 2022, my mum just really pissed me off one day. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to do a mad reaction to something that really pisses me off. And it was the Star Wars Star Cruise Hotel.
Oh my God.
I just started doing this reaction where I thought, this is so bad. Like, this is cut price Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy's is ruining it. And then
Caffeine.
this YouTuber called Drunk 3PO, like a big time guy. I mean, he's got Gina Carano as his personal friend. He not only did he leave a comment in my video, but also I was watching his live stream and I super chatted him, and he's like, "Oh my God, Kung Fu Hotdog! I love this guy. You guys, you got to watch his videos." And then all of a sudden, I saw my sub count go from like 300 to 600 in the space of a few days. And then after a while, it kind of started to stall a little bit, and people were saying, "Well, yeah," and I knew what it was because you said you don't like to watch certain other rage content YouTubers out there. There's quite a few that I watch, but I felt I was becoming like them. And even though I was offering my own opinion, I think the best opinion to offer is the one that is very blindsided. So if you don't watch anybody, you can't truly be influenced, have your own train of thought. And then, like, how can I say? At the tail end of last year, things were going okay. And then all of a sudden, Stellar Blade was the whole talk of the town, especially. Stellar Blade was actually the talk of the town 2 years ago, but it was called Project Eve then. And then one of these guys on Digital Foundry called Alex Battaglia said, "Well, this game is rather problematic. The physics is very distracting." And by the way, for those of you who don't know who Alex Battaglia is, he's like a very knowledgeable guy on that channel. He knows about ray tracing. Apparently, he can talk about ray tracing for days on end. But on one of his Instagram videos, he posts a picture of himself in a cheerleader outfit.
What, this is Digital Foundry? Is this Digital Foundry? Dude, because
Richie Ledbetter, the white guy. Yeah, he's cool.
Can I just say, like, I used to read this magazine. I'm 41. I used to read this magazine in like late 80s or like early 90s when the Mega Drive was becoming big. And he wasn't the editor, he was like sub-editor of that magazine, Richard Ledbetter. He's been doing it for ages, but I didn't know there's that much wokeness in Digital Foundry. Like, I watched some of their recent documentaries and I didn't see it at all. So it's kind of interesting to know that Stellar Blade, they must have been one of the first people to kick off the inevitable kind of,
unintentionally, they did actually, because before that nobody was saying anything about the game. I'd actually seen the trailer before, and the first thing I noticed was like the side boob of Eve, and I'm like, wow, this
side boob of Eve.
Side boob, yes. Beautiful. And I just thought, oh, this is interesting. And you got all that tentacle imagery, and I thought, oh, this is an interesting video game, thinking nothing more of it. And then obviously it ticked Alex Battaglia off so much. But the funny thing is, like, John Linneman and Richie Ledbetter were like, well, yes, it's never mind. I mean, the thing is, Alex Battaglia said Forspoken, or Foreskin as I like to call it, was the better game.
Oh my God, I know that game. Yeah,
Forspoken, landfill time. See ya.
Yeah, nobody talks about that. Like, ugly female character, horrible dialogue, obviously written by those woke consultancy. Was Forspoken actually, was the narrative written by Sweet Baby Inc? Because if it wasn't, it was written by one of those motherfuckers.
They were consultants. The funny thing is, they're all about championing diverse females in video games, and they have to be a certain skin tone. But the funny thing is that the character of, is it Freya? That's it, Freya in Forspoken. She's played by a mixed race actress called Ella Balinska. So if you're championing diversity, then how did you manage to cast Ella? Because she's the best of both worlds. Is she okay with you? Wouldn't you not cast somebody like Halle Bailey, who played the Little Mermaid? If you wanted to make your point. But listen, mate, I've been raging about this on my channel for the last few months. Would I say ad nauseum? No, because even this week, there was a game called Farm Folks.
I've seen that shit. Okay. Bring people up to date on this. All I saw was like a press release where they capitulated a little bit to the woke mob. And now there's can I just say, like, because of Sweet Baby Inc., I think that was like the tipping point. Now gamers can see how much of a threat these companies are to franchises and the video gaming world. So now, like, with the momentum after Sweet Baby Inc., because that was such an L for like woke consultancy agencies and ESG. Now, whenever there's even like a tiny bit of wokeness in games, people push back so hard. And I think that's happening with what you're talking about. So can you just bring people up to date?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So you got Sweet Baby Inc., Melanin Gamers, or Melon Head Gamers, as I like to call them. Black Girl
Melanin gamers.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
Are you
they've got a
serious?
video channel, mate. No, I'm not. I've done a video about them.
Dude, the equivalent of that is making like Aryan gamers. Like, how fucking racist does that sound? You got like melanin? Are you fucking serious?
Listen, the first time I looked up Black Girl Gamers on YouTube, for some reason that they came up. So I typed in White Girl Gamers, and then the thumbnail of Justine and two other prominent white female streamers were next to her in the thumbnail. And I just thought, this is hilarious. So YouTube bans that term, but if you're of a color, like, it comes up. There's a guy called Black Andre the Black Nerd, and I thought, and he's like one of the old OG YouTubers from 2007, I think it was. And he even got criticized by a viewer saying, why do you call yourself the Black Nerd? And he's like, well, I grew up black and this is my pop culture. But you could just be a nerd regardless of and enjoy pop culture. No one's going to say anything. So, but I think now, like the three people I've mentioned, and there's more out there, trust me, there is, they're just using the ESG, the DEI, because it thinks it's going to get them an automatic key to the kingdom, and it ain't going to work that way, because even BlackRock and Vanguard, they're seeing the pushback now. They're seeing investors are getting a bit, this stuff you want to put into video games and entertainment, it's not really working, is it, Larry Fink? We're going to go somewhere else. So I think eventually it's going to die a death, but will it be totally eradicated? Not quite, but there is a guy called Cabrutus who formed the Steam curator page, and that's what got the whole thing running about Sweet Baby Detected. Yeah. And now he's formed his own website. I think it is called, what's it called again? I think it is called Sweet Baby Detected.
Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Is that guy in Japan, by the way? I don't mean to look
Brazil.
at my phone. Okay.
No, he's in Brazil,
okay,
but he's in Brazil. I don't know where he's going to, so it's just hilarious, and it's going to get worse. So, and what he said is, because everybody's calling him a racist, no, he's basically saying you can buy these games if you want to, but I'm letting you know, if you wanted to buy, there's a game coming out called Midnight Sun, South of Midnight. And when I saw the trailer for that, I thought, this looks horrible, because you got the generic black girl walking around talking to this blues guitarist. Then I found out, as many of us did afterwards, that girl they used was meant to be a white girl. But apparently a white girl in the deep South America is problematic, according to Sweet Baby Inc.
I did hear about this. Yeah, I did hear about this. Yeah.
So they changed it. They swapped it out. And God of War Ragnarok, never playing that game, because again, the character of Angraboda, who's a white red-headed female in Norse lore,
ginger side,
they made her black. Why? Because we can. Mate, Eritrea, the son of the main characters, like, yeah, that's who he's going to fall for. No, he's not. No, stupid, absolutely stupid.
What can I say? My radar for this woke shit is so unbelievably acute. I can just see it from a mile off. So, even in my peripheral vision on X, as soon as I hear a bit of news about a game, I can immediately see what they're doing. I won't have anything to do with it. But going back to Stellar Blade, so it seems like you got a recommendation from, what was his name? Drunk 3PO. So he kind of he commented on your channel, and then you did a super chat, and then he said, and he recognized you, and then you doubled your subscriber count from 300 to 600.
He gave me a nice boost, and that's where some of my other subscribers started keeping in touch with me offline, and I thought, I'm getting a bit of a friendship going on here, and things have been rather nice ever since.
I'm glad to hear it. And Stellar Blade, you mentioned that, so perhaps Digital Foundry was one of the locuses of the Streisand effect, where people's eyeballs were drawn to Stellar Blade because the wokesters were pushing back against it. You said to me that you did some video on Stellar Blade, and that was really what started to make your channel pick up. Is that correct?
So there was a video I made, I think it was the tail end of last year, where in the thumbnail it had me going like this, and it's like, she's far too sexy for Western gamers, and it was on a red background, nothing else, and it was a picture of a photographer taking a picture of Eve, the character from Stellar Blade's bum, and I just thought, it got like 6,000 views over a short period of time, So when I was going back through my videos, what was doing well and what wasn't, the YouTube analytics was saying you need to make more videos like that. I'm like, okay. And then when I got around to talking about, this whole thing now is like, you got to protect Stellar Blade. I just did this. I got the guys from Digital Foundry and I mucked around with their faces where they're all like leering at her. And I looked at this and I thought, nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is thinking, take the DF guys and use them in a thumbnail. And I did it. And then all of a sudden, like in the first hour or two, I was like going over 1,000 views. And I thought, this can't be real. I think this is probably a bit of a one-off. And then, you know what they say, mate? You just rinse and repeat. You double down, you quadruple down, and then you see what happens. And ever since then, you get an attractive woman or you talk about video games. I actually thought people would just sort of dip in and then say, you know what, this guy's just a one-off here. He doesn't know video games. But they've actually seen other things I've reacted to in my channel, like certain things from the 1980s, like a TV advert. The one that I reacted to is Blue Stratos, where you got my guy looking like Tom Selleck, the British Tom Selleck, hot blonde, knocks at his door. He's like sitting down with her, like, yeah, come on, man. And at the very end, you think she's going to leave, and he's just like, you're coming with me. And he grabs her hand, and he's just like, you know what they're up to. And it's just such a cool ad. Really, and you just won't get that kind of stuff again. It's just, So the feedback of that video game and other pop culture stuff, I talked about Boy Kills World this week as well. I made a 10-minute review for that, and that did really well too. I was really impressed. I'm just the absurd mad guy like Kenny Everett, where I just sit down and I just put things together and I see if magic happens or not. And all my opening intros are all done by me. You can't go to Fiverr and get someone to do that. They won't have a freaking clue where to start. So if they can't do it, you do it yourself.
That's it, mate. That's what YouTube's all about, I guess, aside from all the kind of censorship and left-leaning bias. It's, with all that said, it's kind of amazing how the gatekeepers have been like sidestepped in a way, right? Like before, to get on like TV, fuck knows how you get through that. You have to get past the casting couch first, God forbid. But, that was nearly impossible. But now, just like, just sitting in your room, in my man cave, wherever you are in England, we can...
Listen, mate, that's the best way, because I've tried to break into TV a long time ago, and it's such an ironic twist of fate. The BBC before would just never give me the time of day because I guess, I'm not the right color. But now, if I was to walk through a door, come on in, Jace. Sit yourself down and have a cup of tea on the Director General's knee.
Oh dear. Fucking hell, mate. BBC, you want to be careful. I call them Beta Boys Club.
I'll tell you a little story, actually. I used to work at Radio Luxembourg from 1990 to 92. Although the station actually folded in 91 because of the recession. So that was the first recession I ever knew, or even knew what that R word actually meant. And during that time, my program controller, the late, great Jeff Graham, he was telling me a story about Jimmy Savile.
And, my days. By the way, Jimmy Savile, for anyone watching who's not up to date, he was he's one of the most prolific pedophiles in
Yeah, you probably can't say that, mate. I'll probably blurb that out afterwards.
See, I'm so deep in the shadow band, bruv. It's just like you can see why now.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, probably for this reason. I just don't have a filter. But yeah,
that quack effect.
I got to go back to a bit of editing. So Jimmy Savile was a guy who was basically aping Ray, lots of Ildren Che over many years. And the crazy thing is, he had a show called Jim Will Fix It, where he would... these prolific aedophile pays always, quite often in the media, they have these shows, of course, where they surround themselves with children. And he used to... he used to say, I'm going to help out these kids to achieve their dreams. And one of my friends in school actually went on his fucking show to drive a Batmobile. That was his dream, was to drive a Batmobile. So he was fucking on there.
No,
and
I think I remember that episode.
Dude,
funny enough.
I'm not going to say his name, of course, but he went there and he was like the envy of school. But anyway, so that guy, and he ended up dying before he could be brought to justice. So like, not my friend, I mean, I'm Jimmy Savile. So like Jimmy Savile, he died before he could be brought to justice. And after his death, that's when it came out that he'd done all these kind of terrible things. So that's who Jimmy Savile is, this British guy. And when you see him, like, you don't want to judge people from appearance, right? We know you shouldn't do that. But when you look at him, I don't want to, you can
he's
tell.
The poor man's Ric Flair. He's the poor, the British like, version of Ric Flair. If you can imagine that, that's what he kind of looked like. The jingle jangle, now then, with the strange hair and the
like fucked up cross-eye. Yeah.
Like, he used to do charity runs for Stoke Mandeville Hospital.
Oh my God.
But apparently, I found out a while ago is that he never actually used to do the runs. He used to take a bus, or used to travel by car to the next destination. Like, do you think that guy's actually fit? But his brother is the same douchebag that he is. They both liked certain type of people to hang out with. So I guess the demon seed didn't fall far from that tree, basically. And the reason why I mentioned Jimmy Savile, because my Jeff Graham was saying to me, he said, yeah, there's this tape that goes around called the Bastard tape. I said, well, what's that? He goes, it's Paul McKenna. Do you know, if any of you know who Paul McKenna is? He used to be a DJ on Capital Radio, but he's now a really famous hypnotist. He's a very nice guy, actually. But he did all his impressions of very famous DJs. So some of this will fly over your head, guys, but Paul Gambaccini was Paul Wank Me Quickly. So I'm just wondering, where is he going with that? And I had this tape, God damn it, and I don't have it anymore. But then he came to Jimmy Savile, and then I'll tell you off air what he says, because I can't say it on here. But when I heard that, I thought, that's a bit of a weird thing to say. So Jeff said to me, well, put it this way, Jace, he likes to go to hospital and inspects the cadavers.
Oh, my days. So so even back then, the rumors were flying around.
Yep, they were. And you couldn't say anything because it's libel. You say that, I'm suing you. Esther Ranson, another cringe chat show host who had the biggest show in the 70s with That's Life, she knew about his stuff, but she never said anything. So despite doing Children in Need or whatever it was, a child hotline, helpline, she knew, but she didn't say anything because she was afraid of the power that he had. So he's a disgusting human being. And yes, it's supposed to be kind and gentle to people that disgrace themselves, but really, I'll make an exception for people like Savile and his brother, because they deserve to be 6 feet underground and pissed upon from above. And I think a lot of people were trying to, or they did vandalize Jimmy's gravestone, and I think they actually had to cordon it off in the end, so you can't go near there anymore.
Jesus Christ!
Wow, I'm full of rage today, Johnny. You got me raging.
Bruv, bring it. We're on different time zones, right? So it's earlier for you. Like I have more rage earlier in the day, but I'm more chill now. It's the evening.
I've had my coffee about 5 hours ago, so I'm all good, man. It's all kicking in now.
You're fucking rolling.
I take my coffee with cream, no milk, and 2 brown sugars. Sugar.
As you should, sunshine. So do you want to hear my story about the BBC?
Yes. Pray tell. Go ahead.
So this is kind of random. So you can see on my name in the top right, it's like it says studio. So I have like quite good music equipment in this man cave, and I thought, well, the music equipment's so good, I should try to monetize it in some way. So I'll start like a little recording studio business. So I spent ages making this website by myself, and as you can imagine, like making a website is kind of a serious ordeal. Got through it, made the website. As soon as I built it, I realized, now, do you know what? This shit ain't going to work because there's no soundproofing in this room. And if you go to a studio, that's the base requirement, is you can't hear any noise from outside if you're recording vocals and stuff like that. So I kind of forgot about the website, forgot about the business, got a few random inquiries. But one day, I got an email and it goes, oh yeah, this is the BBC. We have some people coming over to we got one of our clients is coming over and he wants to record a podcast. So it was Annie Mac's show. Like I don't know what it's called, but Annie Mac.
I know who she is. Yep, I know who she is.
So she has a show with this other dude. I can't even remember his name. He's got 1,500,000 followers on Instagram. And she said, can you take the client? I was like, fuck yeah, I'll take it. And so I spent about 7 days like preparing, like cleaning shit up, like moving my shoes near the door, because I wanted to make it look like a proper studio and not just like I live here. Was moving shit around, did so many dry runs. And in the end, it got to the day before, and they're saying we need to have evidence that you have insurance for any clients. And because I never got the business off the ground, in the end, it got down to like about 30 minutes before they're supposed to arrive, and I got a personal message from the guy who's on the show with like 1 million plus followers, and he says, "Oh, where's the studio? I'm coming down in a minute." In the end, after all of that, they just fucking blasted me. They just ghosted me. She didn't even fucking send a message that they cancelled it because I didn't have the insurance. So I would have had quite a nice thing on the portfolio, right? I was working with the BBC and I'm working with Annie Mac and like working on this podcast, but they just cancelled it. And the BBC, showing what wankers they really are, didn't even send me a message to say that they're cancelling it. They did not give a fuck.
What I find really strange about that account, because it's the BBC, so you think they'd actually find somewhere else to record, but they've obviously saw your webpage and thought this guy looks legit. Obviously you are, but did they offer you a sum of money up front to say this is what you're going to get if you accommodate Annie Mac and her guests?
No, not at all. It was really ramshackle.
Wow.
And the reason that they contacted me was because I had searched online for English-speaking recording studio in Tokyo, and literally nothing exists. And I went to a few, and they don't really speak English. So I know there's obviously a gap in the market, however niche it is. Some people want to come here and they want to record. So no, there was none of that at all. So there you go. So BBC. And the other crazy thing is, the podcaster, he has this special proprietary channel that's linked to the BBC where all the audio is kind of routed. So they said, when you record this, you have to go to this link that I'm giving you now, and all of the audio that you record with the client has to go through this link. So I went on it to test it, and it was a live feed of what was going on inside BBC headquarters, and I listened to it for about 90 minutes, and it's just these two random people who are obviously very high up who were talking about the future artists they're going to hire for their shows, and they mentioned that quite a few big names, and they said, this guy, nah, we're not going to hire him. So I had this inside conversation. I actually fucking recorded it because I thought if BBC tried to fuck me over,
I was about to ask. Good.
I fucking recorded that shit. So I have this audio, and it's mad because you see all these people who are kind of getting interviews and stuff, and you wonder like how are they getting there, you know, what connections do they need? And when you're actually a fly on the wall of the conversations that go on in these establishments, it's just a random bunch of cunts having a chat. It's like, you know, it's like picking out what sandwich they want from fucking Pret. It's like, tuna or fucking mayo, whatever. That's the way they talk about artists. So if you don't make it on...
incriminating.
I was fucking hoping for that because I know the BBC's a cunts, but when they're going to pay you, it's like, you know, it's like when you get an offer from China, it's like, I shouldn't fucking take it from these commie bastards, but like, fuck it, the money's there. So when they wanted to do business, I thought, okay, like leave your personal at the door and we'll just do some business. But I was thinking these guys are blatantly cunts, and then I was listening to them chat, I thought, no, they are a bit cunty, and then they fucking cancelled me. So there you go. But that's my BBC story.
Wow. I mean, I really don't know how to follow that one up. So yeah, I mean, the BBC, I mean, look, they made their bed. I'm certainly not paying their license fee, thank goodness, and they can send all the letters they want, but they don't have the authority to actually knock down my door and make me pay for anything. Well, they can't anyway, but if they were to do that, I still wouldn't give them not even a dime, because I think in 2027, I think that's when the license actually expires. That's it. It's one and done, no more. So yeah, good. Serves them right.
It does, mate. Fuck the BBC. I hate them. I hate them.
I mean, the license fee is like council tax. Like, I still don't understand in England why you have to pay that. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
It's a crime, mate. It's a fucking scam. It's like government mandated payment. Fuck them.
Country.
Well, out here in Japan, we have NHK, and they want to make you pay too, but
God,
can't get away.
Anybody, for the Japan viewers, I love your country. I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I went out there in 2018. And I hope I can do a double whammy of South Korea and Japan, hopefully next year. So that's an early development. Whether it goes anywhere, I don't know. But that's my, like, spend a week in Japan again, and then spend a week in South Korea, then fly back to jolly old England.
Oh, mate. If you come out here, I've got you, mate. I've got you. I know what's going on. So,
Listen,
and we'll have to complete that mission, getting you a Japanese girl.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what. This is an interesting topic, and I'm going to mention it briefly. I mean, like, my preference of women are actually Caucasian. I love white chicks. I've always done that. It kind of it triggers the other side off, like, how dare you?
Racist!
Like, like that. Yeah. So I said, you know what? I just like them even more now. So it's great. So
man.
like my first vision of a chick was a white woman. I think it was Olivia Newton-John actually. And then it kind of snowballed off there. And it's just like, yeah. But that's going to be another subject for another day, actually. But the reason why I kind of bring up Japan, I don't know if you can see this, Johnny. Can you see that T-shirt?
I can. That's like 80s anime. Like, I don't go too deep into the anime storylines and shit, but the aesthetic, obviously, I kind of like it. That era is the shit.
She's got titties, and I want to motorboat them right now.
Get in there, mate. Get in there.
Yeah, but this is like over 100 quid. I got off eBay from a 1999 comic book convention, and I thought, so I don't wear this very often for that reason. But it's a great T-shirt and it's a nice throwback to a great time.
Oh, man.
And so Johnny, if you come out there, you got to find me a T-shirt similar to that. It's got like really nice artwork and, the Japanese and South Koreans do appreciate some big old titties.
Man, they do appreciate some big old titties. I mean, thinking about it now, I'm a simple man. And possibly the main reason I might be in Japan is because anime titties. I mean, once you see that as like a 14-year-old, it gets burned into your cerebral cortex, doesn't it?
It does. And I've got to ask you, mate, I mean, how did a white boy like you end up in Japan in the first place? What made you stay?
I actually identify as Japanese. So can you please, check your privilege before you assume my nationality?
Stop it.
So, okay. Large question. So, right. Japan. So I've kind of worked this out. It's a whole fucking range of things. But as a kid, I fucking loved video games. I just loved it. The generation of today, when you see them with a smartphone, how they're just enthralled by it. That was like for me and my generation with video games. I loved them.
Handheld consoles, Space Invaders for me.
Oh, mate, you are the. Oh, I should put it on the arcade behind me, right, in your honor. But that's the real. So you've seen that you are qualified to fucking talk about video games. You've been there from the fucking start of that shit. Like, how does it feel to see it go from Space Invaders to... But then again, like, what I was playing wasn't a million miles away from Space Invaders. Do you remember the ZX Spectrum?
I do. Clive Sinclair, rest his soul. Yeah, I remember that. I actually owned that briefly. And I think before that, it was I hate to bring up the name again, the BBC Micro computer. That was cutting-edge technology back in the day, folks.
Dude, we had that in my school. We had like a couple of shitty educational video games. One was called Flowers of Crystal. I don't know if you remember that. And
no, I don't. No. Do you know what I was actually trying to do at school? I thought I was such a computer genius. I was trying to figure out a way how to predict it wasn't the lottery then. It was called the football pools, because you'd pick numbers on a piece of paper. And I was trying to formulate a program that could predict the numbers. And of course, that went absolutely nowhere.
You'd have to be Elon Musk level to get that shit to work on a BBC computer.
I thought I was Elon Musk and I wasn't.
Well, we find out quickly our own limitations, don't we? So I love video games, and I remember, Streets of Rage and like Sonic the fucking Hedgehog and like Toe Jam and Earl, Golden Axe, bruv. The first one I saw, I went around my cousin's house. He lived in Earl's Court, and shout out Jamie if you're watching, which you blatantly aren't, but shout you out anyways. And I remember he had a fucking Mega Drive. It was like late 80s or 1989 or 1990, and he had this.
It was around that era.
Yeah, it was around there, and he had this converter cartridge. You put it in, and then you put Japanese games on top of it to play the Japanese ones.
I know them.
He had this game called Altered Beast, which is basically Golden Axe, but with like...
I know it!
Dude.
I know Altered Beast,
dude, I remember...
House of the Dead afterwards.
Oh, mate, don't get me started. House of the Dead is like all-time favorite, but I remember seeing that on his TV, and just... That just fucking wrecked my mind. And from then on, Mega Drive fanboy, and all of the games were Japanese. So, of course, I knew it was from Japan, but I wasn't aware exactly how profoundly it was affecting me. The thing is, in Japan, people here, although the aesthetic is amazing and the fashion is amazing and the food is amazing and like design is amazing, the people are so introverted, and they don't really, the way that they dress and stuff is not really a reflection of their personality. And so it seems like because they're lacking in some way socially, and they're quite introverted, they overcompensate in other ways. And like whatever's going on in there, it's like manifesting in video games. So, I was experiencing Japanese design, art, and creativity and music, and like let's just give a shout out to the fucking Japanese game music, because that is the fucking shit. Like, there's nothing like it. So from a young age, I was getting this energy from somewhere. And
Japan.
From Japan, baby. And then every single successive thing that entered my world from Japan, I just fucking loved it. I remember I went on a date to Yo Sushi when Yo Sushi first started to become mainstream. And as a Brit, like, this is how long ago it was. I was actually like scared of going there because, like, fuck me, I've got to eat raw fish. Do you know what I mean? Like, all we eat for fish is like fucking haddock or like fish and chips. So I remember being
raw
afraid.
Fish is the nuts, man.
Hey?
Yeah. Raw fish is the nuts.
Raw fish,
it's great,
dude. There's a fucking place out here called what the fuck is it called? Slipped my mind. We'll come back to it later. It's really good value. It's a Michelin star, but it's like totally affordable. The queue's like 6 hours. So, anyways, went to the Yo Sushi on this date. I threw up in the toilet because I was so excited. I was drinking so much. Came back and still fucking dealt with the date and the fish. Loved it. And also the movie Blade Runner is like Japanese influence. That, like, my favorite movie of all time, like, blew my mind. Yeah. Also, like, Lost in Translation, such an accurate depiction of that city. And also, you know, I was raised in the suburbs of London in Southwest, and at that time, even in central London, there weren't many skyscrapers. So for like a kind of, not countryside, but like suburban kid, to see those like huge skyscrapers was like sick. So I also realized I had a thing for Asian women because there was this girl called Elaine. Now, racist, I don't know where she's from, not saying they're all the same or anything, but she was Asian. Like, with hindsight, she's probably, I don't know where she's from. But anyways, I remember Elaine, she was a right tease, mate. Must have been like fucking 14, 15. We're in the club and like kissed her on the lips but didn't quite pull her. And so that was the gateway to just, you know, being attracted to Asian women. And so I got with this girl. She was called, I'm not going to say the name, but she was amazing. She was Taiwanese, and she was a Maxim cover girl, had like fake boobs and stuff. And I thought, like, this is it. I've fucking reached the promised land. But then I realized there's another level. It's not just Asian women. Like, racist, I actually like Japanese women specifically. Look, the food's amazing. The fashion's amazing. The women are fucking amazing. It's all linked. And so, you know, being like a young man in like, what, it's like 25 years old, I had to move out here. And I just want to say, the first time I came here twice on vacation before I moved here permanently. The first time I came here, already I was such a huge Japan fanboy. And when I came here, it was the first time in my life where I felt like the reality was better than the fantasy. It was better than the image I had in my head. And it was like a fucking dream. I remember walking around like, oh my God, that there's no crime. No one's like going to knock you out for like nudging their pint. Like, no one's like talk shit. Like, people like don't throw shit on the floor. I used to fucking throw shit on the floor and do all that kind of stuff. And then I realized, holy fuck, like there's another way. So
you can't even shit on the streets either. It's just super clean.
And there's no bins out here, and like it's still fucking super clean.
That's true.
So anyways, that's basically, you know, like roughly how it happened. But I mean, honestly, mate, I've been here for 12, 13 years. Every time I walk out my fucking apartment door, it's like I'm stepping onto an alien planet's surface. Like, even after all this time. And that's one of the fascinating things, is you never fucking can crack it. And there's a massive downside to that. Like, it's really hard to make friends here, and it's hard to kind of integrate and whatnot. But in spite of all of that, and maybe because of that, it's super fucking interesting that you can't crack it. It doesn't matter how hard you try. So yeah, I love Japan. I got a big love for this place after all these years.
Well, you're a lucky old boy for staying out there, man. So maybe one day yours truly can come and join you out there. That would be a hell of a collab, like Bruv. In person. Kung Fu Hotdog and Johnny Massacre.
Bruv, let's make it happen.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll keep in touch.
I feel like I've got to keep lighting this thing. No, mate, like the yen is so cheap right now. That I just read an article today. They're interviewing tourists who are kind of amazed and shocked at just how much money they have when they come out here. So if you can get the dough together, let's do it.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mentioned before that I just want to get out of England. I mean, you can't kind of turn on the news these days without hearing about someone's gotten erased again. It's just like out of control. And I think as well, just going off a very quick tangent, the police in this country, they're not the police I knew in the 1990s when I worked at Planet Hollywood on the front door. Because I had a good relationship with Charing Cross Police Station just down the road by Leicester Square. And white police officers, and were they toxic to me? The complete opposite. Absolutely. Why would they have any animosity towards me? Why would they? So when you see that, when you kind of fast forward now, and you see just like nobody really wants to join them or anything, like be enrolled before, like their recruitment campaigns were very specific, shall we say. Now it's the complete opposite. But Johnny, you got this story you got to hear. So when who's ringing me? Stop ringing me. When John Wick 4 came out last year, I was at my Cineworld and they had this commercial on for the Metropolitan Police. I shit you not. Okay. In the advert, it's a young black girl saying like the reason why it was important for her to join the Metropolitan Police Force, because not only is she black, but she's also Muslim. That's the qualifications apparently you need to be in the Metropolitan Police Force today. So what I did, I went back to watch John Wick 4 again to see if that advert would come on. For some mysterious reason, it got taken down. And I was trying to hunt for it on the official YouTube channel, everything. And I talked about it on one of my videos afterwards, but I thought, holy, how cringe was that to see that? I mean, and it wasn't even a real policewoman. It's an actress dressed as a policewoman. But like, here you go. Here's the script. DEI, ESG scores. Just do that and you'll be on your way. You'll get funded for next year. But the police here, unfortunately, now just can't do a great job of keeping law and order intact. And obviously, I wouldn't arm them with boomsticks, but definitely tasers is a good solution. But then if you saw the UCLA riots at the campus this week, Johnny, police came,
dude, I've been watching that shit.
That's what you need. Don't muck around. Just bring the boys in and the girls, get them to sort these idiots behind closed doors. And again, and I'm not even talking about that conflict. I understand some of the sentiment, but at the same time, you're living in America, and America has kind of tolerances that shouldn't really kind of wash over, if you know what I mean.
I've been watching so much of that footage, and like, I don't think there's been a point since I've started doing YouTube where I have more material on what's happening on those campuses. And do you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to cover it, because it's just, there's so much fucking there. But the interesting thing, one thing I want to say, I would say if I could be bothered to make an episode on this whole like saga, is the whole like police coming in is actually part of it. Like, they want the police to come in, because when that happens, then they're going to exploit that. They antagonize on purpose. Like, that's what Marxists do. They infiltrate, they antagonize, and then they decimate. And when they antagonize and then the police actually come, they're going to use that reaction to gaslight people and use it as confirmation bias that more socialism is needed. That look how oppressive these police are. Look at like the oppressors coming in and shutting down the innocent protesters. It's actually wanted. They want that clash.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword then, because then what if one of these same protesters has a burglar who's trying to break into their house, and you have to call the same oppressor to come and rescue you out of your situation? Are you going to be grateful for them, or are you going to still throw spit in their face when they've come to sort the situation out? So it doesn't make any sense to me, Johnny. And you're obviously a lot more tuned to the political side of things than I am. Because for me, I'm like the simple man who, like, I just do my own simple things. I keep my head on the ground for certain things, but I'm a bit more, I'm based like you, mate. I just say as it is. But yeah, I've heard there's the term neo-Marxism. I keep hearing that quite a lot. And I'm definitely on the political spectrum. I know where I stand, and it's definitely not on the left, and it's definitely not on the far right, because I know I've been accused of that, funny enough, since apparently my politics have been a bit more prevalent on my channel. Friends I used to have, shock horror, no longer talking to me.
It's sad.
You're this.
It's sad. It's sad.
Listen, Johnny, if you can't have an opinion, whether it's central, left, right, or whatever, then the world is a pretty effing boring place. Everybody can have an opinion. It could be cringe as hell, believe me, I've seen some people out there who are cringe as hell, but they said their piece, they're done with it, and they carry on.
No, well said. And the irony is that in trying to silence somebody, you're denying yourself validating your own opinion for other people, or there could be a partial truth in what they're saying. And so you could both get closer to the truth together, or if you're wrong, then that would be great to actually find the truth. So in denying someone their opinion, I mean, that's the hallmark of any authoritarian, but we're living in fucking crazy times, mate. You mentioned the 90s, bruv. The 90s was so fucking sick, man. So the 90s, like, I started raving at the age of like 15 in about 1988. Bruv, back then, no one gave a fuck about that. That was like the apex of race relations, man. I listened to drum and bass MCing and shit, or tape packs uploaded to YouTube. You hear the fucking MC saying like, don't matter your color, da 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 da. Like they even drop it into these like fucking these dark raves and shit. And now it's, you know, they have to make it all about color because it's in my opinion, it's a Marxist thing. They see like it's race Marxism. They need like a victim class, and so they have to make everything about race to justify socialism, to redistribute wealth and stuff like that. And now I look at there's this club called Fold, and like they're constantly talking about race and shit. That's like, man, like fuck, dude, music is something we can all get behind. Like we go out, take some pills, like have a fucking rave, like meet some strangers. Why the fuck would you try to bring divisive stuff into there? It's really, really sad, but it pervades every fucking part of society, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing it in music. I'm tired of like playing it in video games. I'm tired of seeing it in movies. I'm tired of seeing it in like the police and shit, like driving around in rainbow cars and stuff. Like, can we just not politicize fucking everything? But of course, that's part of the agenda. Like, they need to do it because once they do that and they insert that, it's like planting a flag into something. I compare it to the Borg in Star Trek. They fly around looking to assimilate shit. They plant their flag. Once that wokeness is in there, the woke Marxist flag is in there, they take over the franchise. And if you dare question it, you're going to be called you know what you're going to be called. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, mate. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it.
Hey, listen, the rave scene in the 90s, like Keith Flint and the Prodigy.
Mate, let's go! Mate, I was playing that yesterday, man. Those were sick times, man. God, we're lucky to be part of that. Fucking hell.
Last Action Hero, when Charles Dance answers the door, I'd like to speak to the villain of the house, please. And he's got this smiley face, the rave, you know, the...
Yeah, like the acid smiley face, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. The acid.
Yeah.
Look, when I worked at Radio Luxembourg, I mean, the amount of free records used to be given. I mean, can you imagine that happening today? It just wouldn't happen. It had all these like really cool record labels, and it'll be like an eclectic mix of different styles of music. And look, in the 80s, I was like, one of my earliest memories was listening to Jump from Van Halen while I'm eating breakfast in the morning. And did my parents ever change the station? No. You listen to the music, you listen to all black, white, whoever's singing, listen, absorb, learn, carry on. And that's it. And, you know, my music knowledge is pretty damn good, actually. I mean, I'm sure yours is as well, dude. Which actually does bring me to something we spoke about off air, which was the Beatles.
So, mate, let's go. I fucking love the Beatles, by the way. Disclaimer.
Listen, they're one of the goats, man. And I always think that as much as I like McCartney, I think Lennon just had a bit of the edge. But McCartney... he was a bit of a cuck as well when he remarried. Was
he? He was. Oh no! Oh shit! Yeah.
You know, the woman who got her leg knocked over. I called her Long John Silver afterwards. Nobody liked her. But the thing is, there's a video for the Beatles called what is it? She Moves or She's Strange. I forgot what it's called again.
How's it go? Are you going to serenade me?
Yeah. But watch the video for that. Because it's like, you know, who's got the biggest dick? It's like George Harrison's like, yeah, there's my bird right there. You know, Paul McCartney, yeah, check my one. And then you see John Lennon and Yoko Ono is like,
dude, he's fucking, he is getting fucking, man, like hate is a strong word, but
watch the video. It's hilarious. And she's still alive. She's still alive.
Bruv, okay. You've seen the video, right, with Chuck Berry, which is one of John Lennon's heroes, right? Where they do a duet. Have you seen that fucking video with Yoko where she starts screaming on the mic?
No, I know they duetted, and I didn't know that.
Bruv, okay, so you have so if you want to know about Yoko Ono, so the level of like fucking sociopathy and narcissism of this woman is fucking off the chain. So John Lennon is going to collaborate with one of his heroes, Chuck Berry, two of music history's leading legendary lights is coming together, colliding in one fucking moment, like two fucking giant meteors ready to just bless the audience. They're fucking doing their thing. Yoko gets on the mic halfway through and just starts screaming like a cat. And then Chuck Berry, I think it's Chuck Berry, his reaction, his face goes like this, and John Lennon acts like nothing is happening at all. Like he just lets it happen. Bro, you get toxic women who come and try to fuck your shit up. Imagine like performing with fucking Chuck Berry and your bud gets on the stage and starts screaming in the mic. John Lennon was cucked to the max. I fucking love John Lennon. It's all good. He's still a fucking Don, but you know what I've learned though? It's not his fault, because look, it can happen to anyone. Like I've been involved with a toxic girl once and I fucking lasted so long and I never got involved with anyone like that. When it happened to me, I've realized, you know what? On the outside, if your friend gets involved with someone like that, it's so obvious. Like, what are you doing with that person? But on the inside, once you get involved with a toxic person like a narcissist, you're in trouble, you know? And I've seen it happen to a lot of men. So I think it happened to John. I'm not a fan of Yoko Ono. She didn't produce anything. She produced literally nothing. Whereas John Lennon produced this body of work that will resonate throughout like centuries. I'm not a fan of Yoko. I think she's crazy, dude.
Well, I mean, isn't it Julian Lennon? Is that her son? You don't actually hear him speak about her either. Like he's almost embarrassed by his mum's antics. I doubt if they're even close. I'm just speculating on that in that respect. But like for me on Helter Skelter, I always thought Lennon would have been better on the vocals than McCartney. I think McCartney was just trying to really shriek a lot and it wasn't really coming off. But I think what that record was missing was the vocals of Lennon. I think he would have added a lot more ambience and gravitas to that actual track, you know, the forebearer of heavy metal music. I know we can all debate that one. You know, there could have been other proto-rock bands out there before, which there probably would be on the garage scene. So, but, you know, they probably got waysided by the more bigger dominant group, which was, of course, the Beatles. But yeah, Yoko Ono, not a big fan of hers. And I mean, that Merry Christmas song that they have every year, it's a well-meaning song, except when she starts singing, my mum can't stand it. It's like, turn her vocals down.
When the mum doesn't like it, that means something, you know.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah.
Insufferable women, just mute the volume, please. Please do that for my sake, and then we can just live a happy, simple life.
Well, from Yoko to Sean Connery. So we were talking about Sean Connery earlier, and I want to show you this video of Sean Connery like talking about slapping women up. This is a random departure. You haven't seen this shit?
I have not. No.
Like we have to be a bit careful here. Yeah. But like I don't know, like so you can see why we're shadow banned. But I'm shadow banned. I'm bringing you into Shadowrun. So
it will be my turn. Don't you worry.
I'm sure yours is just around the corner. Just like Sean with his clenched fist when a woman's like just about to
shadow ban me now.
It's coming, bruv. We were talking about Bond earlier. We were just chatting about the old school Bond movies, and then I said to you off. This was before we started recording, but yeah, have you seen that video, Sean Connery? Where he's just talking about slapping women around?
I haven't. No, I have not seen that video at all.
So I'll play it now. If you can't hear it, please let me know.
Okay, I mean, see how many views it's got. I'm pretty sure if YouTube are happy to have it out there, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Maybe it'll be all right. So let me know if you can't hear the audio, yeah? But I'm assuming you can through Zoom. So let's try it.
Are you playing it?
I am, yeah. Can you not hear it?
Oh, no.
Okay, we'll have to do it next time, I guess, because usually on Zoom you can hear the other person's audio, but if you can't hear it now, then we'll just save it for next time. All right then. So another thing I wanted to ask you about was Sadiq Khan. So London has a mayor. And London, I guess that you're not the biggest fan of Sadiq Khan, but London has a mayor. And this guy's been the mayor for a long time, it seems. I don't know if there's term limits or shit, but this guy is just fuck, man. He's a leftist wet dream. He's all like super pro climate change, and he's like, you know, refugees welcome and all this kind of stuff. And wasn't he the guy who was behind they removed bikini ads from the London subway, like the tube, because it would be wasn't it him who fucking dude? So we have a mayor who's doing this shit, and he's charging people more to come into London already when inflation's fucking terrible. And I'm just curious if you know, because there's an election, it's happening now. We're going to find out if he gets re-elected.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out maybe today, because it's the 3rd of May as we're recording this. So I think the results might be known today or over the weekend. But it's an interesting result because Labour did really well. Again, not a big fan of them anyway. And the Lib Dems have come in second, and Rishi Jagged Sunak and the Conservatives are just wading in with a paltry 3rd place. It's pretty hilarious to watch. And I think once it stays that way, it's just going to keep going south and south for the Conservatives. I mean, the thing with Sadiq Khan, I mean, yes, he's all those things you said, actually, but he's done nothing to tackle knife crime. What he's very good at doing is that when something happens, he'll come out there and talk for a few minutes and then waddle off like a penguin back to the corner again and wax lyrical about we got to reclaim the streets for ladies and all this stuff. It's just bizarre. And again, no one is saying a woman shouldn't be allowed to walk around freely in London, as they should be, like anybody else. But he's never taken any measures to enforce that or to make it a lot safer. And again, so much corruption in the police force now. And again, a little snippet for you, mate, that I never told you before. I'm going to leave a nice surprise for you at the end of this video, but one of the things is that I used to work in the government. I used to be a government agent.
Are you fucking serious? Okay, tell me the secrets, mate. What's really going on back there?
So one thing I can mention is that when you get to a certain security clearance level, it's called developed vetting, DV. I'm allowed to say that because it's out in the public domain. And basically that kind of gives you carte blanche to look at anything. You know, I actually ended up going to some very prominent leaders' homes to sign warrants for them, or to get them to sign warrants for me. And that's a whole other story for another time, mate. And again, you can actually circumvent certain questions that entitles you to that clearance. I mean, they literally strip you psychologically from when you were a baby to what sexual preference do you like. It's just like, and mine took 7 hours. I didn't know I could be so interesting for 6 hours or 7. It's so bizarre. Time just flew by, and I thought it took them 2 days to interview me at this agency, because at the very end of it, the 2 interviewers, one male, one female, so obviously, you know, it was evenly balanced out. The lady wouldn't give me security clearance because, shock horror, I go to movie premieres. So if I bump into Tom Cruise and he says to me, and this is true, by the way, I used to be the +1 with a friend of mine, ex-friend now, we'd go to movie premieres. We went to some big time premieres, actually. And apparently if I met Tom Cruise on the red carpet and he dared to shake my hand and I told him what I did for a living, he'd be intrigued. Well, she was overruled by the dude who said, no, he's fine. Give him the security clearance. He's okay. He's not going to blab anything around. Like, look at him. What's he going to do? Because I had spiky hair then as well. So who's going to suspect me of being a secret agent? So, you know, and why I mention that, because all police officers have to have that DV clearance. And if they're out committing crimes, rather than preventing them, then there's obviously a serious flaw that they can't fix. And you can't fix it because anybody can circumvent it. They're supposed to review your background circumstances every 6 months, but of course that costs money. And where they're going to get the money from?
Going to get it from us.
So Sadiq Khan, he has no idea what that all entails. And it's great when all the refugees come to London, because then it costs them, $5 million a day to put them up in a hotel. I did all that work last year when they came in. Ring, ring, ring. We've got somebody at Charing Cross Police Station. Can you get a car to pick them up to take them to this destination? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's an industrial complex. It's like you create a problem and then you need funding to fix the problem. So I read Douglas Murray's book, Strange Death of Europe, and there's a lot of statistics in there about how much immigrants actually cost the taxpayer. I recommend checking it out if you have the time. And Yeah, so it's the same in New York, for example. So the hotels, they'll get no corners cut, luxurious government contracts to house migrants. And while obviously you don't want people from a third world in your hotel because they might fuck up the hotel a bit, you're going to get more money than if you would if the hotel was just open to the public, because every single room will be full. Yeah. And the thing is, the NGOs who get funding actually from the government, they exist by helping migrants. So the more migrants they are, the more money they can get from the government and from donations, so they can kind of fix the problem. These people need housing, these people need shelter and all that kind of stuff. So with that said, and what with Mohammed literally being the most popular baby name in the UK, do you think one of the reasons that Sadiq Khan is probably going to get re-elected is because there's such a now large growing Islamic population in London, and Sadiq Khan is Muslim?
I would say that's true. I mean, apparently he has the Muslim Illuminati controlling his purse strings, as it were. So he's being dangled back and forth. All conspiratorial, folks, but he was confronted about this, I think, earlier in the year. I think it was an MP that made an accusation about that. And of course, Mr. Khan is a bit like, oh, poopy-dooping his pants. But somebody sent me a WhatsApp video this week where somebody in the neighborhood took a ladder, went to this lamppost, climbed all the way up it, and pulled down an Islamic flag. And I reshared it on Facebook and I said, yeah, this is why I want to leave England. That's it, period. You don't have to say anything further about that remark. It clearly speaks for itself. And I think as well, Katie Hopkins, if you know who she is, Johnny, she's like this outspoken woman.
Yeah.
She was talking about the fact that and I'll send you the video later on. And funny enough, the guy who actually sent me the video is Indian. So if you think I'm hanging out in the white circles,
oh man, I love how we have to qualify that in 2024. It's just fucking insane. No, fucking hell. Okay, yeah, go on. Yeah. Just like
rock and heavy metal music doesn't discriminate, unless of course people of those bands want to point it out, which they were too clever not to do back in the day. So hell, you Motley Crue, you let everybody like your music, and you two Def Leppard. But it's Katie Hopkins was saying that basically there's a political party called the Islamic Political Party, I think they're called.
Okay.
And they're kind of gaining traction. And if that happens, I mean, if they get a foothold in Parliament, that's going to be bad news for the UK. Even David Cameron years ago, before he became the PM, and there's a video of him on record saying it, that white folks will eventually be the minority in England, not the majority. Well, I think that's terrifying, actually. Well, speaking as a brown, you think, oh, hang on, what?
Well, I think every single kind of Caucasian, in inverted commas, European country has a negative population replacement rate, apart from one, I can't remember which one doesn't, but that means that not enough babies are being produced to maintain the population. You need a population replacement rate, a birth rate, so to speak, of 2.1 per household. So the white British do not have that, but some Muslim countries do not have a positive population replacement rate, but a lot of them do, like far more than the kind of white societies or Caucasian societies. So just going by the numbers alone, inevitably, if the Muslim population increases and the kind of, the native population, the white Caucasian or whatever, who are originally there, decreases, that will happen in the end. That's what Douglas Murray argues in his book. And look, don't get me wrong, a lot of the greatest shit in my life came from cultures where people were not white. Like, I love drum and bass. That came from dub music. So that came about because Jamaican people, my cousin's Jamaican, by the way, half Jamaican. Jamaican people came to the UK back in the day, and they brought over a lot of stuff. So they brought over their culture. They also brought crime. There was like yardies and stuff, and they brought dub music, and dub music turned into drum and bass. And that's like my whole...
I know dub music, yeah.
It's, the MC and the like, pull up, all that kind of stuff. It ended up creating drum and bass. And, all my heroes when I was young, it's like, Biggie Smalls and, people like that, and like fucking,
Well, where do you think rap music comes from? It comes from reggae.
Well, there you go. So
like Yellow Man,
so
Clint Eastwood and General Saint, it comes from those guys. So when they say, oh, well, actually, you can say the first rap song was Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang in 1978. I think it was 76. And yeah, you had that, but then really before that, you had all the Jamaican MCs out there doing their stuff, and then of course they took that on and just kind of reversed or reworded it as they called it rap, but they called it toasting, I think is the term for what the Jamaicans said out there. So you had them. Look, I mean, Star Wars is inspired. George Lucas has said it's inspired by Japanese culture.
Cultural appropriation. Like if we go by this stupid cultural appropriation shit, like none of the greatest stuff would have ever been created. And like you know, all this stuff, it's fucking great to have this, but in moderation. Like you can't just have like uncontrolled immigration and like just refugees like pouring over who are obviously economic migrants, because they could stop at any country along the way, but they go all the way to England. The thing is, if I was an economic migrant, I'd do the same shit. I go to England because if I can do it. The fact is, you need some kind of legislation and rules to stop that from happening. Like what? So that's one of the reasons I love Japan, because you know it's mostly Japanese people, and I like a culture that's kind of like uncompromised and kind of, you know, you come here, you don't try to change it, you just respect it and enjoy it, and it's wonderful to have that. And you know, if we're going to lose that in the UK, it would be a fucking shame, because British culture is fucking wicked, bruv. It's wicked. The amount of wicked stuff like British people made. It's just off the fucking charts. It's only surpassed by America.
Lord of the Rings.
Mate, I just read The Hobbit. That shit is the bomb. So I don't know. Like, I don't know where it's going. But then people say, oh, it's like a conspiracy. It's not a fucking conspiracy theory. There's like high-profile Democrats in Congress saying, like, you know, well, you know, if white people, this, that, and the third, well, maybe we should have more refugees and blah, blah, blah. Like, if you look at the numbers, the British people, like, they're being replaced by other people coming in with a positive population replacement rate when theirs is in decline. So what else is that? What else do you call that?
I mean, when you talk about Harry and Meghan, which I always find the most hilarious talking point ever, like you had black women going, oh my God, Harry's marrying a black chick. And I'm like, hold the phone, lady. She's actually mixed race. She's not black. Yes, she's obviously got black DNA in her. And obviously when people saw that, it's like, oh, is it going to be a threat to the monarchy? Well, first of all, I'm like the Sex Pistols. Never mind the bollocks. I'm not a royalist, so I don't really care about them. And by the way, Johnny Rotten did warn us many, many years ago about Jimmy Savile. But when he did try to do that, what happened? They dismissed his opinions. And then when he mentioned it years later, and they played a recording of what he said back then, oh boy, it's like, give Mr. Rotten a big round of applause. He did try to tell us, but we were just too ignorant to pay attention to the truth. But what their viewers, what Mr. Massacre was saying before about economic immigrants, is basically on your passport, you'll have a visa to work. And the way they circumvented it in the UK, they say, yep, I've got a work visa. I'm going to be at this household, being a usher or whatever. And after a few days, you know what? I'm going to claim asylum. I don't like it anymore. I want to be put up in a hotel. It's that easy.
It's fucking wild, dude. There's hardly any immigration here at all. Do you know how many refugees Japan took in last year?
3.
It's around that. It's around 10. It's definitely under 20.
Blimey.
Yeah, it's like it's under 20s. But in America, in the final quarter of 2023, it was over. Actually, it was way more than a million. I think it was actually 3 million. So. It's kind of crazy what's happening in London, but we don't really have time to discuss it today. But with that all said, maybe next time I want to talk about the fact that being back in London in December, do you know what though, bruv? I fucking loved it. And the whole diverse thing, I kind of liked it. I know this is probably you're not expecting this, but as you have this image of the way it is when you look at it through the filter of like social media online, there's loads of immigrants and like they're changing the culture and whatnot. But when I went back, like it, from what I could see, but I'm just on holiday, I have to give that as a pretext, but I think if any city can do multiculturalism, I hate that word. It's just I don't know. There's some weird stigma attached to it. Right?
Pretentious.
That's what the word I'm looking for. Pretentious. But if one city can do multiculturalism, it is London. Like it still somehow ticks along. It still somehow ticks along. But the thing is, right, is that for my opinions on this, the other side, or whoever that would be, leftist people who are pro-intersectional politics and pro-mass migration and stuff like that, they would fucking they could not tolerate me. I'm sure a lot of them couldn't tolerate being in the same room as me, but do you know what? I'm fine with it. I can go into any room with anyone. I don't have to discuss politics, and I don't. I went to this club called Fold, It's the most hard left-wing club ever. On the way there, it says "Kill TERFs" in graffiti near the club. In the toilet, it's like "Queers for Palestine," right? All that kind of stuff.
But I hate that terminology anyway. I can't stand that term. When I heard it a few years ago, I thought, "What's a TERF?" Huh? I know what it is, but it's just such a weird thing to come up with, and hardly anybody uses it these days because it's not an SEO word. If you put it in your search engine, it just won't come up.
Just another point on the shadow ban for this episode, but yeah.
Well, you can always blurt it out. But should I tell you my funny story, Johnny?
Tell me the funny story. Tell me the funny story.
Are you familiar with the movie Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo?
I cannot say that I am. Please enlighten me.
Well, it's a good premise, actually. So it stars Rob Schneider. They actually made 2 movies. So he's the guy that has to raise money for himself because he's like down on his luck. So he decides to become a gigolo in his neighborhood. And the upside is that he won't have intercourse with his clients, and he'll date anybody that wishes to have a date with him. So you get this series of scenarios where it's like the tallest woman in the neighborhood is like, "That's a huge bitch." And he's walking around like, "Hey, you know what? Just pay me the money and, we'll go on to the next thing." So the reason why I mentioned this, there's actually an agency, I'm not going to mention the name, where they do the same thing. You can become a male escort and not diddle the client. And I was one for a short time. And we
got to talk, bruv. Oh my God, this is funny as fuck. Wait, hold on. Can I just interrupt though? When you say not diddle the clients,
of course you can.
Wait, when you say not diddle the clients, isn't that kind of an oxymoron? You're a gigolo who doesn't shag your clients. So what are you doing with them?
I just thought, because listen, I was going through this weird phase of like, look, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to go to hell for doing other things. I want to see if I can actually live this out. Just be like the Sir Galahad, the gallant Roger Moore, and escort a beautiful woman out for an evening. And the first woman I met, and I'm going to mention her first name, was Annette from Ireland. And she saw my picture, so she wanted to. So the way this website works is they women who are looking, they'll see your photograph and they're like, "I want to date him. I want him for 4 hours." They pay like 40 quid an hour, but now the price has actually gone up again. So yeah, it was pretty good back then. And she kind of walked up to me. She's like, she started playfully hitting me. She's like, "Oh my God, you smell so great," because I was wearing Creed cologne. Creed is the absolute nuts.
Is that the one?
I mean, you need a bodyguard. If you dab that on yourself, you need a bodyguard. Like Creed is.
Are they sponsoring you?
No, I wish they were. Man, if they did, mate, I wouldn't have to buy cologne ever again. I used to buy that cologne back in the 90s when I worked at Warner Brothers for their retail store. And every month I would go to Selfridges, and there was a beautiful blonde woman behind the counter called Bryony, and she used to give me free samples of cologne. And it was also at the time when I was working at Warner Brothers, I started to build up a plastic carrier bag of girls' phone numbers. So before like he had a computer and everything else, it's like, no, I don't want to call Mandy today. I want to call this bird instead and just give her a ring. It's so hilarious. But then I got introduced to Creed. And at that time, it was like £120 for a bottle. Now, if you want to buy that same bottle that did cost you £120, you've got to pay almost triple the price for it because Creed realized what a bit of a milestone cologne they had. I mean, that thing will just last you just put 3 drops in you and you're good to go. The minute you walk out there, people will stop you in the streets. What are you wearing? And this same woman calling that Irish lady who was in a slinky black evening dress. We're just going out for dinner, but she was just like smitten with me right away. And when we got back to our hotel, she goes, "I want you to come and join me." And I just looked at her with the straightest face. And I went, "If I do that, the agency will fire me." I said, "I really want to, but I've got to go the other way. I've got to honor the contract." And I did.
Good on you for having some restraint.
Yeah. I mean, in the day of the toxic male, where it's like, "Yeah, I'm sure you got in there and Rogered it, Jace."
Right.
Got her. Even though she was offering consent, I said, "I can't break the agency are very specific about that. You cannot, we're not a gigolo service because you think this is going to be the tail end of it." I did actually see her afterwards a couple of more times and that was it. But it's the funniest concept. And I thought, I've read a lot of stories about male escorts, what they get up to. And I thought, Good for you, mate. But what's the downside? What's it going to be? Like, is there a silver lining? Did you marry a rich biatch who's got a gold-plated mansion in Florida? Did that happen for you? Then good for you. But I knew that wasn't going to be my story for me. I just thought, let me have an adventure and see where it goes. Didn't last very long, but when it did, it was funny.
You are custom built for Japan, so you probably are aware of this, but we have something out here called hosting.
Yes, I do know it. I've heard of it.
So that's exactly what you did. Is what they're doing in Japan. It's a huge industry. Yep. So you have the hostesses and you have the hosts who are the male hosts. The thing is, they all look like women. They're so ultra feminized. It's super bizarre, and they absolutely kill it. But I met a few, kind of an odd bunch. I did this music video with this girl, and all of her friends are either prostitutes or like quasi prostitutes or people in the kind of underground industry. Yeah, so I've got quite a few stories from that. I'll show you the video. I can show you this guy in the video and just show you the weird shit going on. But one of the guys, he was a host, and it's kind of interesting. It's like hanging out with just aliens. Like, they're just a different breed. It's like this guy, like, he's got this surgery, his like perfect fucking nose, and he's like very effeminate. He's a really kind, and he's like standing there like, what's this guy about? Like, Japan is such a bizarre place. And
I can see why you refer to it as an alien society in the outer space context. I get it. Now you've mentioned that story, it makes a lot more sense. I can actually picture like something out of the Mass Effect games where you might encounter somebody like that. So
this is what it's like. This is what it's like.
Hilarious.
This is what it's like. And I'm really ultra creative. My mother has this as well. Not necessarily the ultra creativity, but she says when she goes around to an inspirational place or an evocative place, it feels like she's in a movie and she becomes the character. And me walking around in Japan, for some reason, it's this canvas for my imagination and I don't know, like my vicarious fantasy. So I feel like, as maybe this sounds ridiculous, but it's actually true. I feel like I'm Deckard in Blade Runner because I'm creative. I'm a bit of a loner. I'm out here, like the neon lights. And, when I'm walking around, it does feel like Mass Effect or a sci-fi movie. And some people feel really isolated by that, but other people, it works for them. It works for me. I just want to say that if you have done that before, like this kind of whole, hanging out with women for cash, there's a whole industry here. You just have to learn a bit of Japanese.
Wow. Count me in. I think I'd like to do that, actually.
I've got connections.
By the way, you mentioned... Oh, right. Okay. Well, we'll have to talk afterwards.
But everyone who's a host, they say, do not do this job. And I'm the foreign, like the cheeky foreign. I'm like, mate, come on, man. Just like a couple of days. No, they're just deadpan. No, you do not want to get involved in this. So I'm not sure if it's as entertaining as I'm making out, but maybe you'll love it, bruv. You'll tear up the scene, and you can have your face on a billboard in this kind of shady underground, like Yakuza run area called Kabukicho. Like the main host, their faces are on these billboards. It's fucking nuts, man.
Oh, the Kabuki man with the painted face mask. Oh my word!
It's not the Kabuki man, but it's a place called Kabukicho. It's this famous part. It's in the video game series, like known as Lost Judgment. And the Yakuza series. It's the
Yakuza games.
Yeah. So
you mentioned Blade Runner, which people often call the first cyberpunk movie, but I disagree with that. Fritz Lang made a film. I think it's 1928 or 27, Metropolis.
I've been recommended that. I haven't.
That will blow your mind. Blade Runner was heavily influenced by that.
Sign me up, man. Sign me up. And I can tell you're a serious movie buff, so that sounds. People have recommended me that one before.
You'll be astounded. It was made in the 1920s. You'll be absolutely shocked. Yeah,
1920s is nuts because I remember seeing Casablanca like years ago and thinking, how the fuck was that made? In what was that? The 30s? Was it the 30s?
Yes, I believe it was. Off the top of my head, I think it was the 30s. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, they're fleeing Nazi persecution. So if that was the 30s, that was like what the Nazis were tearing it up in Germany, but they hadn't actually World War II. Okay, so just before, bro. So I looked at other movies from that period, and they're, with the greatest, with all due respect, they looked their age, and they're really quaint and kind of odd. But that film, science fiction from the 20s, but they don't even have spoken voice in the 20s, do they?
No, I think there's. Oh God, it's been such a long time since I've seen the film, but I think it's just a lot of it. There's a music soundtrack, and visually, what you can see going on, it just speaks for itself. Once you see what's going on, I think it's got subtitles as well. But I just, man, when you see how visually stunning it looks, like no wonder Ridley Scott had a hard time making Blade Runner, because that wasn't the easiest of shoots for him to get through. And even Harrison Ford had his issues with that movie as well, despite the fact now people just love it. It's a great film. I didn't like the sequel that much. I thought it was okay. But the funniest thing is the sequel, I think it flew over people's heads. Anna Diarmaz, who's just like a vision of absolute beauty, she plays a character called JOI, Joy. But if you know what JOI is an acronym for, it's actually pretty funny. There you go. I can see that.
Is that Joy? Is that her?
Well, that would be the right-hand side.
Fucking spooky.
Yeah, so if you should sequel to Blade Runner, watch the Anna Diarmaz is one of those beautiful women on the earth, and she plays a character called Joy, and it's when you know what the three letters actually stand for, it's a double meaning. It's pretty funny.
Can I guess the meaning?
Yeah, you can.
Actually, I was going to say "jog on, you cunt," but that would spoil it.
No,
the C has to be in in parentheses. Now that you can see my screen, I think you might be able to hear. The
Sean
audio.
Connery scene.
Yeah. So look, this is Sean Connery.
Oh, here we are. Sean Connery is slapping women uncut. Hello.
Can you hear this?
No, I can't even lip read. I can see the picture. I just can't hear the volume.
Fuck's sake, we have to sort this out another time. So like, we don't have much time, but I've just got a bunch of articles that I've loaded up that I just found like remotely interesting. So we're just kind of, let's have a look. This is totally fucking random, but just go with it. You want to read the headline?
Moochie donut. Moochie moochie. Moochie donuts are colorful, whimsical, Instagrammable Japanese American sweet treat trending in US.
So this is actually pronounced mochi.
Oh, mochi. Okay.
Mochi.
I'm such a moron.
Well, no, that's what people call it in the West, especially America. They call it like mochi. So that's how you'd probably read it as a Brit. But have you ever heard of these?
Mochis. I have. Well, what's the big deal about them?
I don't know, man. I think these are kind of overrated, to be honest. Like, they look fucking amazing, but I've never eaten one and thought it really blew my mind. But I just...
Listen, dude, 7-Eleven in Japan make the best sandwiches ever. You never have to eat for breakfast. When I stayed there, that's what I found out. And in fact, the guy who helped me direct me to my hotel when I was lost, I said, you've got me as a customer for the next week. And every evening, after I finished touring around Japan, went straight to 7-Eleven, bought my stuff, ate it. Brilliant. Didn't even break the bank. Awesome. Bro, so when I see this, I was reminded of the sandwiches, how they used to decorate them. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the attention to detail is sublime. And when you compare it to a British sandwich where some cunts just slapped two bits of bread together, it's like falling on the floor. Do. Yeah, no, I mean, it's another level. So I actually have a 7-Eleven, a literal stone's throw away. And the thing is, be careful what you wish for. You know, utopia can actually turn into hell. Just take a cursory glance at the communists. Having that shit next to you every single day, eating that, it's amazing. And it's way better than England. But yeah, you'll put on the pounds with a 7-Eleven near you because it's just stocked with shit like 24 hours a day. Go there anytime you want.
I'm lucky. I can fight back the pounds. I can put on weight and lose it whenever I want to. So I'm okay. You know, I'm all right. Hello, ladies.
Yeah. So this is I wanted to ask you about this because this is trending in the United States. So this is what the fuck is it called? It's called Tang Hulu. Apparently it's originally from China, and all it is humble pieces of fruit skewered with a skewer, and it's coated in sugar and it's hardened. So it's like the old toffee apple, bruv, but they've kind of made it a little bit more elegant. Apparently this is blowing the fuck up in the States, but I wonder if this has come to the UK yet.
No, not heard any news stories about that emanating from the States or even not, and definitely not England. I mean, we're too embroiled in politics and everything at the moment. So yeah, why is a food item suddenly going to make the headlines? Yeah, it'd be like number 5 on the news items for the day.
Fucking hell, maybe I did.
It's not bad at all.
Maybe I did make the right choice going to Japan. Well, listen, we're running out of time, but I just want to, finish off by saying, just thanks so much for doing this. I'm a bit of an ambivert. I'm often, like I say, 70%. I'm an introvert. I'm very creative. I'm highly stimulated by so many things. So when I go out and I socialize, afterwards I need a lot of time to recharge. But the other 30%, 20% of the time, that manifests when I do my kind of music stuff, and I love being sociable. But for those reasons, I'm quite often at home, like making music, bit of a loner type, and I get all of my energy, ironically, from like socializing and going out. And with all that said, it just doesn't make any sense that I'm not doing more shows with people. So I really appreciate you coming on. And I just think you're a great guy and you're very, very genuine. So a few other times people asked to collaborate with me. And before we did, they started saying stuff on social media, such as, oh, me and Johnny, you know, we're smashing it in Japan. And I'm thinking like, what are you talking about? We barely know each other. And before I ever got the episode off the ground, I was thinking, I can't deal with this. So I don't know how Joe Rogan does it, because some people come on his show, but even if he's not vibing, he can keep it going. But with me, my mood is so dependent on other people. Like if there's not a vibe, it's just not happening. I can't fake it. So I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with how things have gone today. And I just think that's a testament to how genuine you are. And I think, you know, with the attention you're getting, you fully fucking deserve it. And I'm fully behind you. And I wish you all the best. I hope your channel fucking explodes. And it makes sense that you work for a radio station. You said Radio Luxembourg, because you do have that golden radio voice, and American people fucking love that. So I think it's all there for you, mate. I think it's all there, and I'm rooting for your success. I'm rooting for you, mate.
Wolfman Jack is one of my heroes. Listen, my friend, I appreciate what you just said there. I mean, I'm a nobody. I'm a dumbass. I sit in my room, which is actually well soundproofed without any soundproofing. It's pretty amazing. And I just talk to a camera and talk to that light that's emanating at me like a pair of lovely boobs, because that's the best way to imagine anything in life.
We're going to get along just fine, bro. We'll get along fine.
No, so after this, Johnny, I'm just actually going to go on Twitter and say, yeah, I met Johnny Massacre, and he's just an awful human being.
Terrible.
He's
hateful.
He's awful. But I don't like him at all. So yeah, count on me, Johnny, to make your life an absolute misery after this.
I can't wait, mate. Looking forward to it.
The FBI's most wanted. Oh wow! So yeah, it's I've got a brand new video coming out today. It's going to be about 26 minutes long, and it's going to. I mean, when you watch it, Johnny, I'm not even going to spoil it for you or the viewers, but when you see the opening 5 minutes, you'll be dying of laughter because of what I am forced to react to. And I didn't. And good old YouTube actually recommended me the clip. I was not even looking for it, and suddenly they went, "You like this kind of content? React to this." So I did.
Long may it continue, sir.
But yeah, I didn't have any expectations about what this collab would be like today. I just thought, you're a nice guy. I've watched your videos. You make me laugh. And, you know, this could have gone south of the river, mate.
It could have gone massively south. Yeah.
But, I think that warm-up chat we had beforehand, which I wish we could have actually recorded, because there was some really good stuff in there. So next time, mate, keep it rolling. Or maybe you have rolled it. Maybe you can use it as like bloopers or something. You can do that, maybe. That might be good.
I've got a little bit there. No, I'm looking for... Let's do it again. Let's do it again soon, mate.
Yes, absolutely.
Big up, Jason.
Absolutely.
Take care. See you soon.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
Wicked.